Hi, I'm Portia, and I have breast cancer. But I think you already knew that. There are some important updates, and it's really hard for me to record these things because I've just been going and going and going ever since I got the diagnosis, which was only not even a month ago. But I've just been super busy, so I'm just gonna try to get these updates out as fast as I can. But it's really hard for you, girl, because it's just hard. But anyway, I've seen a lot of different doctors recently, one of which is the. Why do I sound like I have a cold? Like I don't have a cold? Oh, I was screaming yesterday with my sister who's here in LA. We had a good time. Okay, that's why I sound like this. Anyways, I have met up with the oncologist, and if you don't know what an oncologist is, because I didn't. It's a cancer doctor. So I met with my cancer doctor. She told me a little bit more about the particular kind of breast cancer that I have. So if you saw my last video, you know that I have invasive ductal carcinoma, which is a very common kind of breast cancer. Yay for commonality, I guess. But that doesn't make it any less lethal. It just means that everybody has it. Because breast cancer is usually caused by one, two, or three of particular female hormones: estrogen, progesterone, and HER2. My doctor did tests on those three hormones to see if my body was giving off a lot of those hormones and therefore causing the breast cancer. But it turns out that my body is not actually producing a lot of those hormones, which, yay, my hormones are in check, but that means that I actually have what's called triple negative breast cancer. When they did the test to see if there was an excess, if it was positive, then it would mean that one of those hormones was causing the cancer, but because it came up negative in all three, it's triple negative, which means that none of those hormones are causing my cancer, which means they don't know what causes my cancer. Yay! So they are doing another kind of genetic testing, which is testing for the BRCA1 and 2 gene, which is the gene that Angelina Jolie had. I personally don't think that I have the gene, but you never know. I could have that gene, which could be sort of responsible for having the cancer, but that's another thing. I don't necessarily believe that that's how this thing works. I see genes as like seeds. A seed doesn't just fertilize itself. It needs a fertilizer, just like an egg in someone's womb. It doesn't just become fertilized just because you have it. You need the sperm, you need the fertilizer to make that thing happen. So even if I do have a gene, there has to be something that causes this gene to now become activated. But anyway, I'm getting tested for that. There's an upside potentially. If that gene is causing the cancer, then I can do an alternative to chemotherapy. It's a pill instead of like the IV. It still has similar side effects as chemotherapy, but it's much more targeted. But I can only do that if I test positive for the BRCA gene. But anyway, so I have triple negative breast cancer. A little bit about that because I'm psychic. I knew that I had triple negative breast cancer. I didn't want to have it, but I knew that I did. It's actually a really weird coincidence. A friend of mine who also had breast cancer, she sent me over to an Instagram page for breast cancer survivors. There was a woman who had a double mastectomy. It says that she had triple negative breast cancer. And I thought, what is that? So I looked it up and it said, the definition was what I just told you. And I thought, shit, watch me have that. When the doctor was like, so you have what's called triple negative breast cancer, I said, fuck! I knew it. So this breast cancer is a very aggressive kind of breast cancer. Aggressive meaning that it grows very quickly. Also, it usually occurs in younger people. So for all of those people who are saying, oh, it's probably something that can be nipped in the bud because she's young. Actually, my being young is what gave me a more aggressive cancer. So shut the fuck up. I found out the stage of cancer. Preliminary, because I haven't had my CT scan yet. Stage is based off of size and whether any lymph nodes have been affected yet. So according to the general size, what it looks like the size of my tumor is, and the fact that there haven't been any lymph node interaction yet, it appears that I'm at stage 2B. Because I'm psychic, I knew that I was at stage 2 at least. When I called everyone to let them know that I have breast cancer, a lot of people thought, well, maybe, it's just like stage 1 or even stage 0. And every time they said that, internally in my gut, I knew, and I told them, nah, dog, it's at least stage 2. So when my doctor told me, you look to be about stage 2, I said, let me stop you right there. I already knew that. I just needed you to tell me. So yeah, it looks like I have stage 2 breast cancer. which is an earlier stage. It's not as early as stage 1 or stage 0, but it's not stage 3 or stage 4. The route for that would be going for cure. So we looking to cure this bitch's cancer. The unfortunate thing is that because I have triple negative breast cancer, the only thing that I can do is chemo, along with like surgery. But I can't do any hormone treatments because usually if your cancer is caused by an excess in any of the hormones, what they would do is kind of just like block those hormones so that would slow the acceleration and shrink the cancer because it's caused by one of those hormones. But because my cancer is not caused by any of those hormones, it's not going to do shit if you start blocking my estrogen or my progesterone, because that's not what's feeding this bitch. That's not the food of the cancer. So that wouldn't work. The only thing that will work is chemo. I really don't want to lose my hair. That's the only thing I'm worried about. I'm just like, can that not happen? And I know that it's just hair. But to me, it's not just hair. And if you know any black woman, really, you know that hair isn't just hair, and hair has never been just hair. Hair is a huge part of our identity, our racial identity. It's about our self-love, accepting who we are, going against the Eurocentric beauty standards that we place on ourselves and that even the other black people in our lives have placed on us. It took so long for me to love my hair and to love myself. After 7 or 8 years of like learning, nurturing, cultivating my hair, for my hair to finally almost get to where I wanted it to be, which is waist length. After all this time, it's finally almost there, like an inch off. And now I have to get rid of it. Like, how cruel is that? But at the same time, I do feel like maybe this is a part of like my own spiritual journey of realizing like you can still love yourself without it. I don't want to love myself without it, but I guess I don't really have a choice. There are a few things to be mindful of. Like I just said, it's not just hair. It's very important to me. Also, it takes so fucking long for it to grow back. And, you know, when you're dealing with these chemicals, there is the possibility that your hair can never come back, which is extremely alarming. So don't make false promises, first of all. And also, I think it's important to remember that I'm not getting a pixie cut. I'm gonna be fucking bald. Like The Rock, Jason Statham, fucking bald. Don't act like I'm just trimming my hair or like doing a big chop or something. Like that's not what's happening. Like I could lose every piece of hair on my body. I could lose my eyebrows, eyelashes, pubic hair. Hey, that shit can go. People pay for these Brazilians, you know what I'm saying? But let's not be delusional about what's actually happening. And the hair doesn't grow back until a little bit after your last treatment. So it can be bald for like half of a year. But anyways, those are just some things to be mindful of. If I don't have to lose my hair, then I don't want to. So I've been looking into wheatgrass, but I can't consume wheatgrass because I'm allergic to wheat. Yay! But the other alternative is barley grass juice, so I actually just bought that, and it has other benefits too. Your girl just gonna be getting healthy anyway. There's also a cold cap that you can use in preserving the hair on your head, so that's another alternative, even though it's also like $6,000. You know, my hair is kind of bitch made anyways. Like, I look at it and it falls out. We will see. But in the meantime, I'll love it as long as it's here. I also met with a surgeon. Now, this is a general surgeon. I want a breast surgeon. And I knew that I wouldn't like my general surgeon. Just seeing his fucking name, I do. I was just like, nah, I don't like you, fam. And when I went there, I didn't like that motherfucker. He was a fucking asshole. I didn't like his attitude. He was very condescending. But anyway, my whole thing is that I refuse to have any kind of mastectomy. I don't want a single mastectomy. I don't want a double mastectomy. Honestly, I don't even want a lumpectomy. I don't want you cutting into me. But if I do have to get a lumpectomy, then I'll get a lumpectomy. Fine. So when I went to the general surgeon said that he thinks that I should just go ahead and get a partial mastectomy. And I'm like, no. When he saw how apprehensive I was about getting a partial mastectomy, then he recommends getting a full mastectomy. Are you fucking stupid? I don't like that fucking guy. When I went in there, no matter what he said, my plan already was to do chemo and then do surgery. That is always what I felt was best for me. And also just in doing research, doctors have said it's been proving to be more efficient to do chemo and then surgery on those with triple negative breast cancer. So even with what he was saying, I was already going to disagree out the jump because I knew that he was going to say, let's do surgery first. And I want it in the reverse. Apparently, a partial mastectomy is actually just a lumpectomy. But I don't fucking care no way. I'm still getting the chemo first. Anyways, that's most of the updates. I just wanted you guys to know there are lots of tests still to be done. Thanks for liking the video in advance, because I know you will. If you have any questions for me, just leave it in the comments. And also, I'm not just gonna keep talking about my cancer. I did just go on like a 2-month trip around the world, so I do want to get those stories out, but you can only really like see the stories if you're subscribed to me. Other than that, I see y'all later. Bye.